Don't get stuck in this never-ending niche cycle. This is something that I see a lot of freelance writers get stuck in, and I don't want you to fall in the same trap. Hey, Holly. Hey, Margaret. Happy Friday. So we're going to talk about choosing your freelance writing niches, but we're also going to talk about this never-ending cycle that happens. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the never-ending cycle. So that's our number one thing. And we have two friends here. They're hanging over there looking at us. And hopefully they'll be mostly sleepy for most of this time. All right, let's talk about number one. So our never-ending cycle. Okay, do you want to participate? There we go. All right. So the first thing we're talking about is this never-ending cycle. So really what ends up happening with a lot of freelance writers is they just get stuck in the poop soup of just picking a niche or any niches. So that's one. They get stuck in the poop soup of trying to they're just like, I don't know my niche, so I can't move forward. Like I have so many things to think about. I can't pick any niches at all. Hey, Flower Power, welcome. They're like, I can't pick anything at all. I can't move forward. So I'm giving up on freelance writing, or they just stop, they stop trying to understand the process. They're just like, oh, it's not immediately coming to my mind. I should just move on and forget about it. So that's one thing. Hey, Vicky. And the other part of that is that when you're thinking about niches, and I know that this is a thing that we talk about a lot in freelance writing, niches for much of your career are not types of writing. Okay, so your niche isn't white papers, and your niche isn't blog posts, and your niche isn't whatever type of writing it is. And this is for most writers. There are some writers that have spent, oh, why do you have to step on her? There are some writers that have spent much of their career doing a lot of corporate stuff. So let's say that there are some writers who have done a lot of email marketing or a lot of content strategy or a lot of white papers or a lot of whatever that they can use as a niche because they already have expertise. If you're coming in trying to build a freelance writing business, don't pick types of writing. And this is the question I always ask. If I have someone who's just starting freelance writing and they don't have a ton of experience in a certain type of writing, or they're not basically an expert in that, I'm like, okay, explain to me how you're going to find clients. Where are the white paper clients? Where are the blog post clients? Where are they? How do you go about finding them? What's your process? And they can't answer that question, right? That's something that they can't figure out because there's so many different types of companies that need white papers, and now they have no direction to go in, so they give up. This is something I've seen a bunch of times. If I go to someone who's been in corporate for a long time or who has been doing a particular type of writing, like they do a ton of case studies, they know that they're like, oh yeah, when I do case studies, it's mostly these particular B2B SaaS companies, B2B SaaS companies in these particular fields, right? Or niches. The fields, industries are kind of synonymous with niches. So they know how to find clients because now they're like, I know what types of companies to target. Thank you for the lick, sweet pea. They know what types of companies to target, which means they know who to reach out to, which means they know how to actually move forward in their business, right? But most of the time when someone says I want to specialize in blog posts, I'm like, okay, how are you going to get clients for that? That's why niches are better for most writers. I would say 80% of the writers that I talk to or work with, there's they need that direction of a niche of I'm going to work in food and travel and insurance tech, or I'm going to work or insure tech, or I'm going to work in healthcare and women's health and mental health, or I'm going to work in fintech and SaaS or whatever it is. They need the direction in their niche to move forward. So we don't want to get stuck in all of these different things. We don't want to get stuck in the poop soup of just trying to figure out, hey, Brenda, welcome. Don't want to get stuck in the poop soup of just trying to decide things. And we don't want to get stuck in thinking that not picking niches or that picking types of writing as our niches is going to solve all the problems. It doesn't. Most of the time, like I said, about 20% of writers will go back to your hobbit hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. Don't sit in her hobbit hole. 20% of writers, okay, hold on, are the ones that have enough corporate experience, or they have enough client experience, or they freelanced before, or whatever it is. There's about 20% of writers where they can say, I'm specializing in X type of thing. Hold on. Can you lay down, buddy? You want me to move your duck? Can you lay down? There you go. All right. why don't you just hang up there? There you go. Good job. Like they're seasoned enough that really they just need kind of course correction, right? So they're seasoned enough to know like how do they get an email marketing campaign that actually works. Like they know how to set up a drip campaign that gets results, or they know how to set up, they know how to do white papers that have gotten results, or they've done a ton of things. Like they know exactly who needs help with that and how to do the project. So then they can go off and make a list of potential clients to reach out to and then do their marketing, right? That's like 20%. The other 80%, you need direction. You need to know who you're reaching out to, because most of the time there's not enough knowledge or experience yet to understand like, oh, I should be working in, these types of fields for blog posts and these types of industries and niches for white papers and these types for this. So it's just this really interesting thing that happens that I feel like a lot of writers get stuck in these are multiple never-ending cycles. They get stuck in them all the time, and it's just not necessary. We don't need to do that. So we're going to go through how to actually solve that. So first we have to establish what these never-ending cycles are, which we did, right? Poop soup. We don't pick anything. And then 2, we pick types of writing when we're not qualified to do so. So those are kind of our never-ending cycles. And now we're going to go over questions to answer. So when we're kind of deciding our niches, right, this is going to be our number 2. So number 2, when we're asking and figuring out our niches, we need to figure out the cross section, okay, the cross section of your knowledge, experience, expertise, and something that you like, right? Like something that you're interested in. And these things are separate. I know that sometimes people think that they are synonyms, that they're like, those sound all the same. They're not. So let me go through them. So something that you like obviously makes sense. We want to write about it because I've been through, I know that you guys are probably like me and you've met writers that are like, just tell me the most profitable niche. What's the freelance writing niche that makes the most money, and I'll just do that. It never works. It never works. What ends up happening is those writers end up burning out. Those writers end up, here you go, babe. Good job. Those writers end up burning out. Those writers end up resenting their business. They end up hating their clients because all they're doing is trying to make money. And then what ends up happening is like, it doesn't work. They can't make money in something that you hate. So it has to be something you're interested in. It doesn't have to be something you're in love with, but it has to be something that you are at least, intrigued by and want to learn more about. Right? And I also go over, right, we have the cake and icing niches. Cake niches are the ones where we get most of our work. Those are big niches that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of clients, or lists, giant lists, right? Like fintech is a good example, or SaaS. They have huge piles of potential clients for you to work for. Then you have icing, which is more like whittled down interests, like travel could be icing. Like for me, travel is icing. Sometimes people have travel as their cake niche because they have a lot of travel clients. But your icing ones are like, there's just not enough there to make a huge pile of clients that can bring in most of your revenue. And I will link to that video below. I have a cake and icing niche video. Hi, Mary. That I'll link to in the description as well, because I want to save, that's like its own separate thing. So when we're kind of going over, so we have to be something, hi, what's up? Can you lay down? You're just like wild today. Your interest has to be something that you're intrigued by, you want to learn more about, and it's something that will keep you going, right? When you get some assignments that you're not happy about, or when you're trying to grow your business and it's difficult, it has to be something that you're interested in writing about. So that's one. The other thing is when we are thinking about your knowledge, experience, and expertise, those are separate things. So, okay, everybody's just wiggling around today. So your knowledge can be just things that you have knowledge of from something being like something you're interested in. So for example, when I got started in freelance writing, and I did food and travel, that was something I had knowledge in, right? Something I read about a lot, something I was really interested in, something I paid attention to. I read a lot of articles, I watched a lot of stuff, and it was something I was really into. I also had experience, right? Because I traveled a lot, right? I traveled a lot, so I had a lot of actual experience doing it. And then my expertise came from whittling things down. So you can have experience, right? But your expertise is knowing like tips and tricks or like insider stuff, or your expertise is like being able to whittle down like the fluff and the actual hardcore stuff that's really important. Woo, go back to your hobbit hole. Woo, go back to your hobbit hole. Go back to your hobbit hole. So these things are actually really different. Hi, Barry. Can you back up? Can you back up? No? Can you sit? Good job. Good job. All right, Minnie. Go back to your hobbit hole. Good job. Bear's got a little bit of a goopy eye today. His eye's a little bit drippy. He gets eye drops all the time, so he's always kind of drippy now. He's not crying. I just want to say that's just like his eye goop. He's almost 16 and a half, so there's always something that's leaking or, something's always, the gaskets aren't as tight as they used to be. Okay. So when you're kind of mushing these things out, like you're trying to distinguish between them, those are the difference. Like your knowledge could be like, here's another good example. I know plenty of writers who write about health or healthcare as personal knowledge. They've had some kind of like, they've had a decades long experience either with a family member or themselves with the healthcare system, and they know more about patient care, and they know more about the inner workings, but they may not have full-time work experience, or they may not have worked at a hospital or whatever, but they have this knowledge that then goes into experience of actually being in hospitals, and then expertise of like, they've had so many experiences. They know like, you may have a hospital that does this, but actually this is better for patient care. Like there's a lot of different things that they can pull on to create really well-honed, high-quality content. So when you're thinking about your niches, you have to ask those questions like, where's my knowledge? Where's my experience? Where's my expertise? What am I actually interested in? And then this is why I'm going to link to the cake and icing video. Then we have to kind of separate those things out by cake niches and icing niches. So like what's going to bring in the money so we can keep writing and we can keep building our business? And what are some things that like we really enjoy that just don't have enough companies yet? Oh, so like a good one for me is like pet health insurance. So pets is like one of my icing ones, obviously, because because of that. But for me, like there's just not enough pet health insurance companies yet to make that an icing niche. Like I could have a couple of them as my clients, but there's not like hundreds of thousands of options yet. And pets as a niche, it can be up and down. So it can be, it just really depends. So for me, that's an icing thing. You want to think about things where like they could be poised to grow, or like some people do gardening, or some people end up doing knitting, or some people have like other things as icing that they'd want to do later, like paleo, or like specific types of traveling for seniors, or like there's specific sub niches that we can put in there too. But we need to make sure that we're asking those questions when we're picking our niches, because we're pulling on stuff that we have. And almost every time when someone's like, I don't have any experience, it's like, no, that's just not true. Like there's a lot of times where we can pull these different facets of things that we've done, right? Like I'm telling you about food and travel as something that I've done a whole bunch, right? Like that's something that I was lucky enough like to travel a lot when I was a kid with my family and travel afterwards. And it's just like something that I was really interested in and I knew a lot about that I could grow in my business. So you want to think about those things. Like what things have you come into contact with? And a lot of times, like there's little things that people forget. Like, are you someone who likes evaluating different tools? I like doing that. So like for me, SaaS is a really fun thing to do. And then different types of tools like prop tech tools or fintech tools or hospitality tech tools or whatever. So for me, that automatically goes into my natural inclination to assess tools and software and stuff. Like I'm always looking for like the thing that works the best, or the thing that's most efficient, or the thing that helps me get rid of the most tools, right? So that's a natural thing that I like to do. And there's plenty of other stuff. Like I know writers who have, like they started doing a lot of budgeting for their family, and then they became finance writers. Like they wrote a lot about family finances, and then they wrote in fintech. So that's another thing to think about. The last thing I'm going to mention here is audiences. So who do you want to write for? Do you want to write for families that are trying to budget and understand how their finances work? Do you want to write for businesses that are trying to increase their margins and profits and revenues. Like, think about the audience that you want to write for, and then work backwards into like, what types of things do they use every single day? And most of the time, those are apps or their tech tools or their software, or it's something like that. And it's really easy. Like, a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't want to write in SaaS or fintech because that's boring. And for me, there's like 80% of fintech is really boring, but 20% of fintech for me is really exciting. Like, I love writing about mortgages and things that have to do with financing homes and people preparing budgets and anything that has to kind of combine finances and real estate. That's really interesting to me. So you kind of have to figure out these different areas that work. But almost every time, like, I talk to writers and they're like, I don't want to write in this boring thing because they only know one part of it. They only know one part of that whole niche. And they're like, that whole niche is about crypto. I don't want to write about that. Don't. There's plenty of other opportunities in there to write about something else. So explore it. Go look around. What other types of things are in there? What audiences do you want to write for? Who do you want to actually help with your content? Work backwards into what things they're using to actually help them achieve whatever goals. Like, if I want to budget better for my family, am I reading a bunch of personal finance blogs? Am I taking a bunch of, like, getting apps so I can manage my grocery spend better and use an app like Mint to track my regular spending? Like, there's a lot of different ways that we can go about this, finding different niches. And it's not complicated. We just have to break it down into bite-sized pieces. Go back to your hover hole, you sass. You can be a bite-sized piece. I'm going to put you on camera. I'm going to pick you up. So when you're thinking about your niches, it's really important to just kind of work these different angles. Work the piece that you're interested in and that you have experience in and knowledge and expertise. And you have to work the things of like, who am I going to help with this content? Like, who am I going to help with this blog post or this white paper, and what types of audiences make the most sense? Good job. Good job. I'm teaching Minnie how to spin around. So that's my new thing that I'm working on with her. I don't know if she'll do it, but we'll try it. Hold on one second. Let's see if we'll get her to do it. All right, Minnie. Can you do it? We have enough space in here. All right, Minnie, can you go around? Around. Minnie, around. Come on. Minnie, around. I don't know. Minnie, around. Come on. Minnie, around. Oh, no. You went around the other way. This way. Close. Minnie, around. So close. So close. We'll let you off with a pass on that one because you went around me the other way. So think about those things when you're going through your niches, audiences, your experience, knowledge, and expertise, and your interests, and also just like what types of clients would we be interested in writing for? The other thing, I want to talk about this as 3. So number 3 here, we're going to find 3. Thank you for the lick. Oh my gosh. Why are you so cute? Why are you so cute? Okay, let's talk about 3. So our third thing here is, how do we actually move forward? How do we actually move forward and find clients? So, oh, hello. If you feel like this has been helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you like my dogs, give it a thumbs up. We'll go back to your hover hole. We'll go back to your hover hole. Good job. So, and if you feel like you want to learn more about building a freelance writing business you adore, subscribe. So here we go. When we're moving forward, this is a trick that I tell my students all the time. This is something that I think is really important. Go find other writers already doing that thing. Go Google ed tech freelance writer, food freelance writer, travel freelance writer, fintech. I don't care what the niche is. Pick something, go Google them, read 20 different freelance writer websites or LinkedIn profiles, and figure out, are those types of clients people you want to work with? So we're not going in there to steal people's clients. We're not like, ooh, they work for this client, let me send them an LOI and like try to get their client. That's not it. The goal is to say, oh, I noticed that this particular healthcare person who says, this freelance writer says they work in healthcare and they work mostly with hospitals. Do I want to work with hospitals? No. Okay, I've noticed that this other person who says they're a healthcare writer, works mostly with insurance companies. Oh, that's something I'm actually interested in. I want to go learn more about that. So this is something that's, here you go, buddy. It's a super secret, super easy trick. Go find people who are already doing that and go figure out, are those the types of clients you want to work for? Do they work with Fortune 500 companies, or do they work mostly with startups? Do they work with giant hospitals or conglomerates or insurance companies? Or do they work for insure tech tools or fintech tools? Like, gather your research and information so that you can move forward. Like, this is really important. If you can find an example of what you want to do, someone's already done it, which means you can also do it, right? When we have this kind of research, we now can figure out like, oh, I want this part of fintech and this little slice of food and this little slice of biotech and this little slice of, like, we can make our own customized business that we actually like. Instead of just being like, I'm a fintech writer, I will write about all things fintech, from family finances to crypto to mortgages to credit cards to travel miles. Like, it's so wide, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we actually have a good idea and kind of like a mini roadmap of what our possibilities are. Go do the research. This is really important. And people don't do this enough. Go look them up. There's billions of us, not billions, but there are millions of freelancers. I forget what the number is, but there's millions of freelance writers worldwide. There's millions of us. I can bet that you can find 20 writers in a niche that makes sense for you to look at and to review as something that you want to move forward with and that's interesting to you. So go do that. When you kind of figure that out, now we can start making lists. So once I've Googled all of these things, let's say I've picked 5 different niches and I've looked at 100 plus different freelance writers in those niches, right? And I'm like, okay, I want to work in these kind of clumps. Now what I'm going to do is make lists that go with the clumps. So I'm going to make a list of potential SaaS companies that deal with, that cross over into hospitality, or SaaS companies that deal with accounting, or SaaS companies that deal with HR, whatever I've chosen. Now I can actually make a list. Now I can send LOIs, or letters of introduction, to all these businesses, and I can actually move forward in my business and get some writing work. So we kind of have to make sure that we have a way to go. And this goes back to the exact first thing that I was talking about. Now we know what clients to go after. We're not saying who needs a white paper and then losing all control and being like, I don't know, I have to quit. Like, it's not like that. Now we have clients that we know are in niches that we're interested in. And then as we learn more, we can say, oh, I've noticed that a lot of the biotech companies that I work for write white papers. So that's something that maybe I will become an expert biotech white paper writer. And that's something you can make as a niche later on. But your initial niche is biotech, right? So we're kind of getting ourselves acquainted with the process of like, what is available, what makes sense for me, and then how do I reach out to clients, send my LOIs, and get some work. All of that is really important. So your niches are giving you the direction to get out of the poop soup, so that we don't just say like, I don't know. And it's giving you direction to actually get clients, to actually figure out how do we make a list of people to reach out to, right? And those people need to have, if there's a regular company, 5 to 50 million plus in revenue, somewhere in there. If it's a traditional company, or if it's a startup, they need at least 3 to 10 million. So now we actually have an ability to move forward. When we're kind of thinking about finding clients too, like maybe there's a happenstance like that you start connecting with other writers on LinkedIn, which you should always do. But let's say you connect with some of those writers and they're like, hey, I actually work for this hospital. I noticed that you're a healthcare writer too. They're actually looking for more freelancers. Do you want to have a meeting and talk about it? And maybe I can recommend you or refer you to them. Like, there's a lot of different opportunities for us to move forward too. Hi, Woo. Hi, Woo. Woo's been a sassy ham today. So these things are all kind of an important piece of finding clients and defining where you're going and giving you information to move forward. If you then later on want to brand yourself as a case study writer, right? Once you figure out who is your most lucrative or most useful or most interesting type of client who does case studies. Like, for example, there's people who just do B2B case studies. Like, they mostly do B2B tech or B2B SaaS case studies, and that's their whole business, because they've gone through all this other stuff and they understand like, oh, this is something that I'm really good at. This is something I'm interested in. And most of the time, my most lucrative clients, or the things that make the most sense for me, are B2B tech and SaaS, right? Go back to your hole, you SaaS. So that's kind of a refinement and expert level thing, right? So that leads us to our next point. Does your shirt have a dog in the heart? It does, yes. Here you go. I know the angle sometimes it's hard to see, so oh, hold on. Good job, guys. You guys are doing great today. Yeah, so it's supposed to be like a pit bull. Oh wait, there it is. This it's like a little pit bull in there. So it's like my pit bull love shirt because these guys are well, Barry is a pit bull, right? So Barry, here he is, standing there, like there he is, with all the stuff everywhere. He's just chilling. So Barry is just like the regular American pit bull terrier or whatever it's called. He's just the regular kind. Charlotte is a pit bull Frenchie. That's kind of what we've figured out. Is she's not actually full pit bull. She's a pit bull Frenchie. Someday maybe I'll do the little genealogy dog thing on there with her, and we'll find out if she really is Frenchie. But we definitely think she is based on some little things about her. But if you ever I got this from Treat Dreams, TreatDreams, Treat Dreams. Hey, Getty. And she always makes like cute dog shirts, and she always makes like little pit bull things. And so if you ever wanted like a little cute shirt, you can always get them from Treat Dreams. Okay, back to our thing. Let's go to number 4. Let's talk about 4. Where is it? Did I already say hi to Getty? Hi, Getty. I can't remember if I just said that or not. Okay. Bless you. Bless you. You have a little sneezy cheesy moment? Okay. So this is how we're then going to move into being an expert. We're doing enough work, right? So we've picked enough of our niches. We've done enough stuff. Bless you. You okay? You a little sneezy cheesy? We've picked our niches, we've moved forward, and we've done enough work to understand that we're like, okay, most of my clients who are in these niches, bless you, you okay? That are in these niches doing this type of work, I want to specialize in B2B case studies, right? B2B tech case studies or B2B SaaS case studies or whatever. So now that we have enough experience and we know enough about our niches, hold on, Mead, and we have enough information to go on, and we've done this long enough that we can separate out clients who would be in a cake niche that would basically be enough clients that we can fund our whole business, right? We can mostly work with those clients, and that's enough money for whatever amount of money we need to make or want to make. Here you go, babe. Here you go, buddy. There you go. So once we figured that out, now we can move into becoming an expert. That would then become our niche, right? Content strategy, brand messaging, messaging and positioning all fall into those categories, marketing consultation. But that's also when people are like, I work on white papers for the biotech industry, or I work on, let's see, like I'm trying to think of something for food. Like there's specific things in food, like to think about, or travel is a good one. Like if you're doing adventure travel, or if you're doing senior travel, or if you're doing, travel in a certain area, like you're in, you're, the travel expert for your area, like Austin, like being a travel expert in Austin. Or you end up becoming like, I make client success materials for hospitals. Like I make patient marketing materials for hospitals. Like there's a bunch of different things that we can do to kind of become an expert. And this is over time, but we now can kind of change our focus. So instead of just saying like, here's all the niches that we're in, now we can say, I focus on, B2B white papers or whatever. Like that's when we can then add in, like I do a specific type of writing for a specific type of client. And like I said, like most writers, like 20% of writers have a way to start out doing that. And most of the time, 80% don't. They need enough experience and enough clients and enough knowledge and expertise over time working with those clients to then understand like where do they actually want to go? Where are the projects? Where are the better opportunities? That kind of stuff. And like I said, content strategy, brand messaging, messaging and positioning, marketing, consultation, all work in that, right? So if I'm giving content strategy or let's say marketing consultation, to hospitals, right? Because I have enough experience to give them expert advice, right? Or I'm giving strategy help to prop tech companies because I've worked with enough of them to see like the mistakes that they make regularly, right? So all of these things then allow you to become an expert and then share that on your LinkedIn or on your website. And now you have kind of like a more honed in even further down the whole basically expert style niche that you can put in there. But you're already at that point because you know exactly which clients need that. You know how to find more of those clients. So putting that on your website and profile and your LinkedIn stuff, that all makes sense because you already know how to find tons of those clients. We're not starting out saying like, oh, I don't know my niche, so I can't find any clients, right? We're starting out with like honing our stuff in, trying a bunch of different things, looking at examples of people like freelance writers working in different niches, what types of freelance writing jobs are in those niches, what types of work you would take on. All that different stuff then gives us enough of a foundation to move into being an expert in a certain type of thing. Like I know certain writers who just do white papers and just do case studies, and I know writers who just do white papers and case studies. I know writers who just do content strategy, and writers who just do marketing consultation now, or who just end up doing email drip campaigns. That's because they have enough experience in that niche to find more clients and to move forward. So the whole point, right, of getting your niche is, hi Woo, the whole point of getting your niche is to give you direction in your business to find clients. Right now we have direction and then we can try stuff, and you're not tied to any niche forever. There's lots of niches that I didn't start with that I have now just because I was asked to try something, or I got interested in something, or I found more clients there, so I started pursuing it. There are lots of different options for us. But we want to make sure that we kind of understand how things kind of work and how to find clients before we're just like, I just do blog posts. Like, don't start there because it's really hard to find clients that way. Yes, Woo? Would you like to say something to the group? You want to come up here? She's like, don't pick me up. She's like, just give me snacks. So these things are really important when we're thinking about a niche. All right, that's the last thing I wanted to say, but let's do a quick pup date. Charlotte, go back to your hobble hole. Goodness gracious, you're woo-tastic today, Bean. You're woo-tastic. Barry, you're like right in front of the camera. You're just like right there, ready for snacks. Can you see it? There you go. Good job. Barry, your nose looks a little weird today. There you go. All right, Bean. Can we try around again? Ready? Around. Charlotte, around. Come on. Around. Come on. You can do it. Around. You almost around. Oh, we were so close. Come on. Around. Around. Charlie, around. Come on. Around. You can do it. Come on, Bean. Around. Around. Oh, the other way. Around. Good job. Good girl. Okay, we got her very first around on camera. I'm just trying to get her to learn how to spin because I know this sounds so weird, but Charlotte is kind of freaked out by moving around in tight spaces. So one of the reasons why I'm teaching her how to turn around is because she gets kind of like nervous, and if I teach her to turn around in tight spaces, now she feels like she can get out of those small spaces without like being freaked out and having to go backwards and all that stuff. So mostly it's because it helps her kind of like have more room to move around without being, freaked out. All right. You want to try one more time? One more time? Good job. All right. We did it. Okay. So last little things to remember here. Don't fall in the poop soup, okay? Do not get stuck in the idea that like we have no niches and like we can't do this and like, well, I have to choose my niches or I can't move forward. Like your niches are not this life or death decision. It's not this thing that you're going to do forever. You can change your niches at any time, but you don't want to get stuck in the analysis paralysis. Ask yourself those questions that I put in earlier, right? Ask yourself those questions and move on with your life. Then we can find clients, right? Then we're actually going to be able to find clients because we have niches to work in. Go look at the examples. Go find other people working in those niches, and you'll notice that they have all different types of clients and they do all different types of work. Now we have enough examples to kind of do our research and pick the things that make more sense for us or make the most sense for us. Then as we move along and we have more experience and we're like, hey, we've noticed that our best work comes from, these life sciences white papers, or our best work comes from drip campaigns for prop tech companies that are releasing new apps or whatever. Like they're releasing new versions of the app, or they're releasing new products very regularly or whatever. then you can start becoming an expert and start saying, like, this is what I do. Like, this is the majority of my work. And now that helps us niche down even further into kind of expert territory where we want to be. Like, you can also be a content strategist. You can work on brand messaging and positioning, or marketing consultation, whatever. But we have to get all that experience first. And we don't want to get stuck in the never-ending cycle of analysis paralysis. And we don't want to get stuck in the never-ending cycle of like, that we just like don't know how to move forward, or we don't know how to figure out which niches are best, or that our types of writing are our niches. That's just, it's just, like I said, when I talk to people that are like, oh, my niche is going to be this, like blog posts. And I'm like, how do you find clients for that? Like, it's impossible. Like it's impossible. Because you're most of the time starting with not enough knowledge to make that happen. Like if I was going to go off now after 10 years of being a freelance writer, trying to find blog post clients, that's not hard because I have enough foundation to go do it. I'm like, I can go, try these types of businesses, which would be niches, right? So all of this stuff is really important. Oh, what a woo bean. Come here, woo bean. You want to say hello? Hi. Hi, woo bean. Hi. You're just so spicy. You're so spicy. So all that stuff is really important. Don't get stuck. Move on. Go back to your rabbit hole, you sass. Why are you so barky today? Make sure you ask yourself those questions. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Choose your niches wisely, which are types of businesses and industries, right? Not types of writing. And then move on with your life and go get some clients and go make some money and actually write stuff, right? That's all really important. So I hope this was helpful. Oh, and if you are starting out, or if you are trying to figure out your pricing, I redid my pricing guide a little while ago. So if you go to mandyellis.com/pricing guide, you can get my free pricing guide that includes all these different types of projects, and you get my weekly tips and tricks email. So in addition to being here every Friday and doing a live stream and going over certain topics, I also have a weekly email that goes out on Mondays. So you can grab that there. And if you ever have a question or a topic that you want me to go over either here in the live stream or in the weekly email, you can go to mandyellis.com/question and submit it. And you can be anonymous. So if you're asking a question that you're kind of worried about, or you want to be anonymous, that's an option. And these guys will be here. These two curious little sausages will be here, being sassy and barky and whatever. Bear, you look like you're really intent on these snacks. Here, buddy. Here you go, buddy. Good job. I know. Today is one of those days where we're not doing that great with our site. We're doing our best, but our site is not the best today. That's okay. You're doing great, Bear. You're a superstar. All right, so I hope that this was helpful. If you feel like it was, give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about freelance writing niches, or how to run your freelance writing business, or building a freelance writing business that you adore, subscribe. I will see you guys next Friday. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and Charlotte says goodbye. Charlotte will probably bark at me in like 3 seconds to say goodbye. So, bye guys.